Hello everybody! Infinite Shinjo here. I have been up for maybe 20 minutes, but I wanted to record this video. Also, Skillet's new single Surviving the Game is playing through my head right now since I literally listened to it, so don't be surprised if I break into song. But in today's video, I am going to be discussing unpopular Pokemon opinions. Now, for some reason, I wanted to do a video about this. I couldn't tell you why, but I just wanted to do a video about this because it's interesting with like the super generic unpopular opinions. I can read the one right here and it's interesting for me to give my personal opinion about it, whether it's for it or against it. And outside of the usual ones that I'm sure that you hear all the time, there might actually be some unique ones here. So I took to the internet. I saw a thread on Reddit from my phone that I was going to use for this video, but for some reason it is not cooperating with me. So I am here on Quora? I'm not sure how it's pronounced, but this is a site that I saw. According to this, there are 10 answers, so I'm not going to look further down. I'm just going to read this first one because it's been staring me in the face. So I guess within these 10 answers, there's all of these. I don't know how it figures out. I don't know how it plans out, but we're gonna walk through it. So I guess Shubhum here has at least a couple of different opinions about it. Now, before writing this, I wanted to let you know that this is subjective and controversial. It's your own opinion. Deal with it. If you don't agree, that's okay. First one, and this pains me to say this: Johto is extremely overrated. There's nothing special and unique about it. The story wasn't executed well. Team Rocket and Johto were bland. The legendary didn't play or contribute any good role in the games. Species lacked and was heavily dependent on Kanto. Johto is Kanto but better. Okay, so if you're not aware, Johto was the first game that I played, specifically Pokemon Silver. And to an extent, I can agree with this. I love the games, but I do have to admit it's extremely overrated. And to be fair, the only things that are really special and unique about it are introducing breeding and the day and night cycle, so it's not like there's no merit with it. The story wasn't executed well. Team Rocket and Johto were bland. Okay, I will give them that because Team Rocket was just kind of a repeat of Kanto, to be fair. And now that looking back on it, that is a little bit unusual that the legendary didn't play any role in the game. The species lacked and it was heavily dependent on Kanto. Yes. In case you're aware, Pokemon like Murkrow and Houndour and even Skarmory weren't available to capture until late Johto or even in Kanto. So kind of making you wonder why they were going on stuff like that. But let's click this down and see what we got here. Okay, if we don't count Platinum, then Gen 4 sucks. Don't get me wrong, I'm a Gen 4 stan, but without Platinum, Gen 4 is bland and boring. It contains boring mechanics and is slow. Sword and Shield are much better than the Pokemon X and Y games. I'm really enjoying it. Okay, we got two different ones here. Let's see. If we don't count Platinum, then Gen 4 sucks. Okay, I do gotta agree with that because again, Diamond was one of the first Pokemon games that I played. Well, I mean the first one I played in the Gen 4 era, and I remember enjoying that really well. But after rebuying a Pearl copy maybe a couple of years ago and playing through it, it is very slow. And Platinum really fixes up a lot of the problems in those games. So taking Platinum out, I do gotta agree with it. It contains boring mechanics. Okay, what did Diamond and Pearl introduce? The ball capsules? Underground? I mean, taking my nostalgia goggles off, I do gotta agree to an extent on that. It is very slow, absolutely, and it contains boring mechanics, yeah. Sword and Shield are much better than X and Y. Okay, I maybe? I don't know. Because, to be fair, I've been replaying Sword and Shield because there's so much extra to do post-game than X and Y, especially now with the DLC. So, I do gotta admit, Sword and Shield are much better than X and Y. I mean, X and Y has the easy shiny captures with the, what's it called? The little patches of grass in Kailud in that post-game area you finally battle Serena in. But Sword and Shield has basically everything, so I don't know if the shiny rate even matters for that. But I know for the most part, shiny hunting is what most people do in the post-game, so that's fair. Alright, so these next couple are gonna be very interesting. The third one, Greninja is extremely overrated. His design is nothing special. He doesn't deserve any form of praise that he gets. Agree! Absolutely agree! Dude, it is 100% the stand that I take. Honestly, I don't know if Shubham is gonna have anything on here further down that an unpopular Pokemon, let's say a Lumineon for example, is one of their favorites. I don't know if that is going to be something brought up here, but honestly, from the Gen 6 starters, I will admit that I was a fan of Froakie the most at first, but honestly, I think my favorite from the line, or at least from the line, is Frogadier, easy. But I think my favorite starter overall is still Chespin. It's weird because I typically don't go for grass types, but I just really like Chespin. There's Chespin, he's just adorable. And then Chestnut is just wicked awesome. I know some people don't like his design, but I really like him. And this next one, Serena is, or at least in my opinion, not the best Pokegirl as people claim. She is extremely overrated, her development was slow, and she's very annoying in the anime. Don't get me wrong, Serena fanboys, but I just didn't see anything that made her the best. Now deal with this opinion. Whew! Man, is it getting hot in here from Shubham's spicy hot takes here? Okay, yeah, I do have to admit, Serena is not the best Pokegirl. Now, the problem of it is that X and Y and X, Y, and Z was more shonen than every other Pokemon. Ash was actually competent, he had a love interest, it's basically a shonen. Not to mention Ash Greninja in that form. But that's the problem. Because I do admit Serena is a bit overrated. Her development was slow. Yeah, I'm not sure about the exact number, but the episode number that she cuts her hair, which is a big turning point in her character, was where she started taking things seriously. Because in that sense, I can see little traits of May, because May early on was having contests, doing contests, and she thought, oh no wait, that wasn't May, hold on, I think that was, yeah, that was Dawn. That was Dawn that was doing the contests, and since her mom was already a professional contest coordinator, she thought, I got this in the bag. But then she got that big loss and it really hit her. And that was what I can kind of see from Serena. She comes off a bit cocky to an extent, but then finally gets taken down a peg from characters like, what's her name? Miette, of all characters. I do have to admit Serena's development was very slow. She only got 3 Pokemon. I think that's the lowest amount out of any Pokegirl up to this point. I know Lana breaks the record because she only gets 2 one generation later. Very annoying in the anime? Personally, well, okay, I can kind of see that. If we're taking into consideration Serena's little crush that she has on Ash, I do have to admit that was very annoying. But the thing of it is, I'm going to explain this now since we're talking about Serena. In case you haven't known or don't know, the big deal about Serena cutting her hair in the anime in that episode, it's very symbolic in Japan where if a girl cuts her hair, then it's more or less a stepping stone in growing as a person, as a character. So that's probably why it hit hard for a lot more people. But my gosh, and I already see this one over here. Sun and Moon is the second best anime, and it's better than X, Y, and X, Y, and Z. The XYZ anime was rushed and boring unless we count X, Y, and Z. It's overhyped. For my opinion, Sun and Moon anime is very underrated and doesn't deserve the hate that it gets. Absolutely. Although I'm wondering, if Shubham says Sun and Moon is the second best anime, which one are they considering the best? I have a guess, but from what I've seen, it might not be necessarily true. But XYZ anime was rushed. I can kind of see that. Because the climax of X, Y, and Z was decent with Team Flare. But even X, Y, and Z was just a whole bunch of filler. I'm thinking of the Binnacle episode right now, if you even remember that episode. And then early on in X, Y, and Z, there's literally an episode that Aquilodin falls in love with Serena's Eevee. Yeah, forgot that happened. But yeah, overhyped, I can definitely see that. Sun and Moon is very underrated, absolutely. Honestly, Sun and Moon hit my heartstrings much more than X, Y, and Z. Because of the whole backstory with Ash's Litten, now Torracat, actually Incineroar, I forgot about that. And then the characters, Mallow and her mom, that was really good. Sun and Moon was just a good series overall. And I can definitely see now that Shubham does not like X and Y stuff. Also, I want to bring this up now. I don't know why I didn't bring this up earlier. Shubham has, what's her name from Toilet Bound Hanako. Really good. Anyway, let's keep going on with these hot takes. Iris is much better than Misty. Don't get me wrong, I adore all Pokegirls, but for my opinion, Iris is much better. She actually progressed towards her goal, cares about Ash, and she is strong. And yeah, her catchphrase, "such a kid," is not annoying because it is true, because Black and White Ash was rebooted. I actually like both of them. Yeah, to be fair, I can see that. Because people easily compare Iris and Misty. Because first of all, they're both gym leaders. They're both the female traveling companions. Black and White is essentially a reboot of the original series. And both of them just pick on Ash. I can definitely see that. But with Iris, what makes her different is, first of all, now she's a champion, so that's a plus. But also, even though both of them start off claiming that they're using only one type, Iris actually has some pretty strong powerhouses with her team. She literally has an Excadrill and an Emolga, both aren't dragon types, and now she has a Haxorus? What mons outside of the water type does Misty have? Togetic? She released that. Azuro? Yeah, okay, you're reaching with Azuro. Yeah, I do have to admit, looking back on it, Iris isn't as annoying as I remember. I know the common thing is to bash on Black and White in general, the anime, because it's just so generic, it's rebooted, it all sucks. But there are actually legitimate good parts with it. First of all, Team Rocket's not in every episode. Second of all, Silent is a character. Moving on. Charizard is actually good and competitive with its heavy duty boots. He isn't a terrible starter. What? Is that an unpopular opinion? He isn't a terrible starter. Really? I was expecting, from everything that they said so far, I thought that it was going to be hitting a lot harder. But yeah, I can see Charizard being good with heavy duty boots, because heavy duty boots basically cancels out all entry hazards. So I can definitely see that. I'm not sure that was an unpopular opinion, to be fair. The Unova starters are much better than the Kalos starters. Superior, Emboar, and Samurai. Delphox, Greninja, and Chestnut. Yeah, I can see that. I can definitely see that. Not something that I typically think of, but yeah, I can see the Unova starters being better than the Kalos starters. Speaking of Unova, Unova have the best games and it is much better than Kanto in terms of design, story, plot, and villain arcs. Kanto has the most lazy, racist like Jinx, and bad design. Yeah, I can see that. Although, to be fair, can you really... I mean, I guess Univa's designs are pretty good, but I was thinking that with Univa and Kanto, they're more or less two sides of the same coin, because you have mons in Univa that are basically direct parallels to Kanto. So in Univa is Bufalon, in Kanto is Tauros, in Univa is Sock and Throw, in Kanto it's Hitmonlee and Hitmonchan. But as far as design, plot, design, story, plot, story and plot are the same things. Okay, whatever. You know what? I'm gonna let that slide because I do have to admit that I agree with a lot of the stuff they're saying. Although again, is that an unpopular opinion? I thought the unpopular thing was to bash on the Univa anime, not the games. I thought it was pretty commonplace that people enjoyed the video games now, but hey, what do I know? What do we got? The post games of Black and White 2 and Platinum are overrated. Okay. Yeah. I'm not sure about the post game of Black and White 2 because I haven't really played it. All that I know is there's some legendaries and there's a tournament. And then Platinum, there's like stuff with Heatran and whatever. Okay, I can't really speak much on that because I haven't played them, but I can see it. Sword and Shield have much better post game than X and Y. Okay, hold up. When was this posted? September 2nd, 2021. Okay, so pretty recent actually. Yeah, I can see that. Especially with the DLCs, which is why I checked the date because that definitely played into it. But yeah, I can see that. Sword and Shield made it very easy to get into competitive. Granted, competitive is probably still a nightmare. I don't know. I haven't been there. But X and Y had a good spot in Lumio so you can hatch eggs. But that's basically it. Outside of that little area that you can get mons. Yeah, I can see that. Is there anything else down here? Oh no, here we go. We got a second one. You know what? I've been recording for a while, but I found another one. And you know what? I like you. I'll give you a bit of a longer video. Unpopular. Okay, time to make everyone hate my guts. This isn't a good start. Gen 4 sucks as games. As a Pokemon Gen, it's pretty cool. But the games weren't fun, slow pacing, too many HMs, forgettable gym leaders, and some unsatisfying Pokemon designs. Slow pacing, yeah. Too many HMs, I'm down with that. Forgettable gym leaders, yeah, I can kind of see that. See, the problem is, one generation later, and you know the gym leaders actually do something, so it's hard to compare them. Less unsatisfying designs. I'm wondering which ones they're referring to, besides the obvious licky licky. Gen 6 isn't that bad, but I do understand the hatred. They were pretty cool games for the time, but I admit the story was bad and they could have included more Pokemon. But I'd be lying if I said I didn't enjoy the Kalos region and the atmosphere they put in. Game Freak is far from perfect, but when they nail something, they nail it. Okay. So, yeah, I can see that. I'm guessing when they say they've included more Pokemon, they mean more new Pokemon. I can definitely see that. Because they only have like less than 70, I believe, and that's counting all the legendaries. I can definitely see that. Oh no, Grayson, what are you doing? Gen 1 is overrated. I get it. We all grew up with it, but it isn't really that good. Oh my gosh. Dude, I can definitely admit that Gen 1 is overrated. But there are so many things with Pokemon that it's just overrated at this point. But yeah, it's the generation we all grew up with, but it didn't really age that well. But to be fair, for a game for the time, it was pretty good. Although I'm guessing when they mean Gen 1, I'm assuming that they mean the games only. They haven't mentioned anything about the anime, so yeah. Gen 2 is inherently the best gen. It has the most content and some really great Pokemon designs. With a few stinkers, nothing is perfect. But 2 regions in one game, climactic battles against memorable characters, and the final battle against Red, who is supposed to represent yourself from Gen 1, now that's how you do a sequel. Interesting, so they're going the exact opposite way that the other person was going with Gen 2. Very interesting. To be fair, I can actually see where they're coming from. Because Gen 2 is more or less a better Kanto, I guess, maybe. It still had the same cartridge, or the same system to play it on. Climactic battles against memorable characters. I guess you're meaning the gym leaders? Yeah, Whitney's definitely a memorable character. And the final battle against Red? Yeah, I could see that. So that's interesting because I'm not sure what they're counting, because earlier they're talking about how Gen 4 sucks as games. I wonder if that's just counting Diamond, Pearl, Platinum, or Heart Gold and Soul Silver. Because they're technically part of Gen 4, much like Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire are part of Gen 6. I'm not sure where stuff like that falls. Let's keep going because I'm not sure what's even going on here anymore. Gen 5, while not the best overall, has the best story so far. You cannot change my mind on this one, and I will stand on this hill and die on it. Team Plasma being hypocrites is the whole point, and gives you a reason to fight them. The story doesn't talk down to you, and actually felt like a JRPG story for once. Yeah, I can see that. The only real issue that I've had playing Gen 5 is that it's hard to grind, even with Audino, because you just have to look for shaking patches of grass. But as far as the story, I would definitely agree with that. Gen 3 has the best designs. Granted, not every single one is perfect, but I've had more fun memories of Gen 3 Pokemon than any other. So many cool and memorable designs. See, I'm torn on this one, because there are a lot of good mons from Gen 3. Grovyle, Sceptile, basically the whole Mudkip line, they're perfect. But as far as the mons outside of the starters, there aren't really many that I say I remember. A couple of years back when I did my top 10 Pokemon from Gen 3, I was honestly I had a hard time picking 10 mons. And that's not that they weren't good designs, because there are definitely some good designs, but I just didn't really have memories with them, which is kind of weird because that's what they're bringing out right now. The gimmick should have stopped at Mega Evolutions and exclusive Z moves. Though on paper, Dynamax sounds cool, it's pretty dumb. Mega Evolutions were cool, and the idea that Pokemon can use exclusive moves is cool too, but Dynamax is kinda lame. Yeah, I will admit that, because I didn't even think about this till I was doing the Dynamax adventures maybe a couple of days ago. Dynamaxing and Gigantamaxing are basically Mega Evolutions and Z moves, more or less. Especially Gigantamaxes. Because say you have a Charizard. You make it grow larger and it has a different form, like Mega Evolution. It has that fire move that traps your opponent for 2 to 5 turns. I can't remember what the G-Max move is called. That's basically a Z move. So it's weird that they basically took Mega Evolutions and Z moves and put them together to make Gigantamaxing, which is freaking hilarious thinking about it. Gen 7 Originals, not Usum, had the second best story. The small scale and personal level of it made it really good. They handled the character development of Lily rather well too. It's not as good as Gen 5, but it's better than most games. Yeah, I can see that. I know that in Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon, they changed stuff so much and it didn't really feel like the same game, obviously. But it just, there were some parts that I'm sure it didn't hit as well for people. With the introduction of like the Ultra Recon Squad and all that. Yeah, the original, I can definitely agree with that. The Sun and Moon anime is actually great. The simplified art style allows for better animation, and it's not bad to mix it up every once in a while. I swear the Pokemon fanbase is way too quick to judge nowadays. Absolutely. Sword and Shield are going to be good, despite the backlash and lack of Pokemon. This is before the game was posted. I wonder if they still feel the same. I have to admit, I'm having fun playing Sword and Shield. Even though there are big glaring issues, it doesn't really bother me that much, because I know that releasing a game every year or so is definitely going to have to make you cut corners, and I'm fine with that. People should complain about Sword and Shield, but only after they have played the game. This still boggles my mind at how people say it's going to be bad. I'm sorry, but did you play the game? No? Then how do you know? You don't get to complain until you play it. If it's as bad as you say it is, then you gotta suffer with the rest of us. Yes, absolutely. I never understood that. It's just like, well, I can see it down there, so I'll bring it up later. I can definitely see that people just say, Sword and Shield are gonna be bad. Have you played it? That's just absolutely bonkers. Why would you complain about a game, say it's trash, and not even play it? That just doesn't make sense. Okay, here we go. This is gonna be a paragraph, and this is gonna be an interesting one. Game Freak is not comparable to EA. That is the single stupidest comparison I've ever heard. EA is an abysmal tier of corporate greed hack where they will never return. Game Freak at least shot straight with us and told us about the national decks, the cut national decks I should say, and they only sacrificed it because they wanted more content in the game. It was a high cost, but it would be worth it from some of the features we're already seeing. EA would have cut the decks, cut it again, not told anyone about it, then sell some of the missing Pokemon through loot boxes. Game Freak is nowhere near perfect, but whatever their faults, they're 10 times the game company EA will ever be. Not to mention Game Freak completely understands why people are angry at them, not out of blind hatred, but because we're passionate about Pokemon. EA would have shrugged and blamed everything on the fans instead of taking some initiative and responsibility. I can't speak on the EA part, because I'm not familiar with that. But yeah, that is fair looking back on it. They at least said, hey, National Dex is gonna be cut. Although I swear I'm gonna have an aneurysm recording this video, but the thing I always hear is we're going to cut the National Dex for some better looking designs and whatever. And then people just start complaining and point to moves like Double Kick, for example. Double Kick's animation is trash! Yeah, okay, whatever. Although thinking about it now, I'm actually wondering if they wouldn't have cut the decks and would have kept it the same way, would we have DLC? Because I can imagine the DLC was in mind when they were making the base games. So that's making me wonder, if they wouldn't have cut the decks, would we have the DLC? Or on the flip side, was the decks cut to make room for the DLC? That's something to think about. And finally, Aegislash is the best shiny Pokemon, and you can disagree, but you be wrong. Seriously though, comment your favorite shiny. I'd love to see some cool ones. Yes, I absolutely love Aegislash's shiny. Although, I can do you one better. Shiny Hawlucha. I can be transparent for a little bit. I was literally playing through my copy of Pokemon Shield a couple of days ago, maybe yesterday. Yeah, it was yesterday. And I was watching Hoodlum Callum complete the Pokédex in the Fused Dimension game that somebody sent him, the live streams that he's been posting, and I literally just found a shiny Hawlucha doing Dynamax adventures, and I was super giddy. I took a picture of it. If I can get that picture in the video, then that'll be perfect. But I love shiny Hawlucha. To be fair, both of them are Gen 6 shinies, so maybe they're doing something right with the shinies in Gen 6. But I think that's enough for today. I saw a related topic on the side of unpopular Pokemon that people love, but I think I might save that for another time, because this was a lot to take in. I don't even know where to even go with that. What did you think about all these hot takes? I'll be surprised if people agree with all of them. To be fair, I'm surprised that I agree with all of them, but the way they laid it out, it makes a lot of sense. You know, I guess that's the point of maturity. Even though I might not agree with everything that they say, I'm still a big enough man to admit, okay, I don't entirely agree with this, but I respect your opinion. Because if this was 10 years ago, I'd probably be throwing my keyboard against the wall saying that your opinion is wrong. But as long as you're mature enough to respect these opinions, then we'll be all good. Also, I have a lot of material to make a thumbnail now, so that's going to be fun. If you enjoy, hit that like button down below. Subscribe if you haven't. If you want me to do a follow-up on this, whether it's another unpopular opinion one or unpopular Pokemon, let me know. I'll see you next time. Momentai.